I promised, I promised we'll try not to constantly cover Boris, but sometimes you have to, unfortunately. But I think this opinion piece in the Independent makes it quite clear that Boris Johnson, as we've mentioned before, could quite very easily be the shortest serving Prime Minister in UK history. So this is, Brexit may have been the making of Boris Johnson, but this is why it will also be his undoing. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson spared no time in sacking a record number of his ministers to create his no-deal cabinet. He has reformed his Vote Leave campaign band for a reunion tour with his co-chair Michael Gove as deputy and strategist Dominic Cummings as chief of staff. These changes bring the quick win for Johnson supporters for showing a clear break from the more centrist Tory governments of the past who were led by David Cameron and Theresa May. Those who backed Boris will feel that he's honouring his promise to make Brexit happen by Halloween, but I'm afraid the real picture is more trick than treat. Johnson has been in the enviable position of making promises that he never had to keep. As a backbench opponent, as a backbench opponent of a fellow old Etonian Cameron, Johnson had the luxury of having no responsibility for delivering the referendum result he campaigned for. What later made the Foreign Secretary Johnson's only contribution to negotiating a deal with the EU was to resign immediately rather than help forge a solution. At every turn, Johnson would rather wound his party's leader to better position his succession than to help heal the divisions across the country he did so much to create. Now his turn has come, and the time for the reckoning is nigh. The Prime Minister has promised that the public many things, not least an extra $350 million a week for the NHS, that were neither honest nor realistic. His supporters have drunk the Kool-Aid, believing a combination of being more optimistic about Brexit and keeping the no-deal option on the table are enough to bring the EU back to the negotiating table on their terms. If wishful thinking was enough, Brexit would have happened by now. May's failure to deliver was not because she didn't want a deal, but rather because few others supported the deal she agreed. The devil was very much in the details. May's having a deal wasn't enough. For extreme Brexiteers, the only deal they wanted was no deal at all. Johnson believes a new deal is possible, that this is probably fanciful, as the EU has already rejected this option. But even if there was flexibility, the PM will fail like May over the details. His alternative vision is surprisingly shallow. A main aim is simply avoiding being locked into the so-called Irish backstop, but without any existing technology or means to do so, such pigs can't fly, making the possibility of amending May's deal virtually nil. The more significant difference in Johnson's approach is his commitment to threatening the EU with no deal if negotiations fail by the 31st of October. No deal has become the new priority for Johnson's government. For many leavers, this is the key to unlocking a better outcome. But how credible is this without a bout of wishful thinking? No deal is often characterised by its costs and how the EU's economy will be hit hard too, so it should serve as a strong deterrent. But this is only a partial picture that masks why no deal is not a viable option. The UK's EU membership has created an interlocking network of agencies and official departments that help maintain the thousands of EU regulations currently in place. Leaving without a deal in 99 days means that the UK must recreate this work in about 3 months so it can hit the ground running. This means hundreds of people recruited and put in post ready to go. This is the stuff of unicorns frolicking through the fields of wheat while painting red bushes made from old made of old wine crates. It is nonsense. It is an indication of how little the new Prime Minister grasped the enormity of the challenge before him, as someone only a week on details could have been led to believe. In assessing a cabinet signed up to a strategy of wishful thinking with an empty threat, Johnson's new-look team will likely follow the same old fate of the previous government in failing to deliver Brexit. When I predicted it would not happen, I could not see Boris's rise. Yet the sheer complexity of making the legal and institutional changes required to maintain such that Brexit will stay out of reach for the foreseeable future. On his nationwide tour, the promises of a Brexit by any means necessary is already unravelling. Johnson is now saying that Britain may stay in the single market for 2 or more years. This U-turn is a product of watching the pound slide into new lows thanks to Boris's bluster, now coming back to haunt him well before his Halloween deadline. But those who backed Boris never thought he'd blink within days. However, nothing speaks more of the UK's declining global influence thanks to Brexit than such policy shape shifting over Brexit. This wannabe emperor's has no clothes. Former classic student Johnson may delight in the tales of tragedy, but this is his next tale to weave. And it is all too clear from day one that, like Gordon Brown or Theresa May, who had the ambition to become Prime Minister but lacked a clear, decisive vision for their premiership, Johnson's reign will be defined as another opportunity lost where ambition alone isn't enough. Boris shall find that getting fellow Tories to install him in number 10 Downing Street is easier than leaving the EU. Brexit has been the making of him, and it will be his undoing.